So this is about the second Bill and Ted film. If you want to check out the first film, I've already done a review. I did that last week, and there is a card up here, and there's a link in the description as well, so go and check that out. But let's crack on with Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is a 1991 American science fiction comedy film directed by Pete Hewitt. It's the second film in the Bill and Ted franchise and a sequel to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter and George Carlin all reprise their roles, as well as a few other minor characters. The film tells the story of Chuck Dinomolos, who is not happy with the way the future's turned out, so he plans to sabotage Bill and Ted's past by killing them. And then Bill and Ted have to go on a bogus journey to come back to life to save the future and save their fiancées. When the film was released, the film actually got mixed reviews, but in the years since it has gained a cult following. So what could have made the film better? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. 10 things that can make Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey better. Number 10. TV show. So when there is a very successful film, especially in the 80s and 90s, there's always a kids cartoon TV show. The real Ghostbusters had it. Ace Ventura, The Mask, Rambo. Yeah, okay, I don't get that one. But Bill and Ted also had this treatment as well. They had an animated cartoon TV series. But this film didn't make any references to it. Now normally people say, well no, it is completely separate, and normally I would agree, except, especially the first series of the cartoons, it was actually co-written by the writers of the original film. It starred the original actors. Yes, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter actually brought up their roles from the film. It's the same people. It is actually more of a continuation than any of the other cartoon series that I've mentioned. But they didn't mention it once. And this film had the perfect opportunity. When Ted actually goes, we've had our excellent adventure in time, you could have just said, our various excellent adventures in time. Just nice little nod that the TV show actually happened, but no. Which is a shame, really. Number 9. God. So in this film, Bill and Ted, they go to hell. They actually meet the devil, who looked awesome. Not as good as Tim Curry in Legend, but he still looked awesome. And then they get out of hell. They go to heaven. They meet gods, and what do they show us for gods? A staircase. That was it, just a staircase. Not even feet, not even a robe, nothing. There was just stairs. Why? At least show us something. It's a comedy film. You can sort of, get away with showing God a little bit in this. Well, hell, even Alanis Morissette has actually played God before. But nothing. You should have just shown, even if it was an old man, just shown his feet, but nothing. Number 8. Knockouts. Now this is a bizarre one. Towards the end of the film, evil Bill and Ted go and steal the babyish princess, whatever you want to call it. I'm not good with 90s lingo, and I grew up in the 90s, not good. But when they're trying to actually knock them out, they're over the shoulders. Missy tries to stop them, and they knock her out. But so what does she do? Well, she does nothing. She actually just goes and sits with her friends and watches the show. Your stepsons, bear in mind in this film, they're both now her stepsons, have just knocked you out and kidnapped their now ex-fiancés. And you did nothing. You didn't even call the police. You did nothing. You are an appalling stepmom. I think I covered that in the last video as well. Number 7. Guns. So something they did in the first film and something they really played on in the second film is saying, right, after this is done, we're going to go back in time and set these things in motion. Which is great. It's quite funny and quite believable, except one. When Dinomolos actually says, I'm going to go back and give myself a gun, and a gun appears. That's not how it works. You would have had to literally bend over and pick it up from a chair. You hid the gun under the chair to start with, or inside the cage or something. But no, you just had it appear out of thin air. It doesn't really make sense. But that wasn't the worst thing they did about time travel. Number 6. Conflicting time travel. So in the first film, they make this reference that the time in your own time period will always keep moving forward. That's the whole premise of the first film. They actually make references to that in this film as well, and then break the rule. How do I mean? Well, at the Battle of the Bands, Bill and Ted are ready to sing their righteous song that's going to save the world. And they say, we don't know how to play. Well, let's learn to play. They get in the time machine, it disappears and comes back straight away, and they're 18 months older. I thought time carried on moving forward. That doesn't really flow with what you've said previously about time travel in this film anyway. Number 5, princesses. So in this film, the princesses that they rescued from England in the first film, they're here, but they're played by different actresses who were absolutely appalling. Now, in the first film, the acting was perfect. They looked out fish out of time, but this time it was just wrong. It didn't look right. They didn't seem that funny. I didn't like the actresses portraying the princesses. Fingers crossed that the new actresses for the third film are better, but yeah, the two girls in this film, no, sorry, you were appalling. Number 4, sound effects. Now, one thing that annoyed me all the way through this film is the added sound effects at every time Bill or Ted move. It was like, get up. No, that's annoying. I don't want to watch a film. You didn't do it in the first film, especially you had a good opportunity where they said, hey look, the Goodyear blimp. You didn't go in that, so why did you add it onto this film? It wasn't funny, maybe once, maybe twice, but every single time? No. Number 3, death. Death is so absolutely hilarious in this film. He was fantastically played by William Adler, who was brilliant as this, but doesn't stop him being imperfect. Most of the film you see him not wearing any shoes. Great. In fact, that was the whole point of the whole Melvin joke. He has no shoes, and yet, so why was his shoelaces untied? Great. Except for when he first appeared, he actually had sandals on. Wait, what? What happened to them? Why did he have sandals on? I mean, I'm guessing it was to protect the actor's feet in that rocky quarry, but still, you could have either hid them, or did something, or make a reference, but no. He had no shoes throughout his entire appearance, and yet when he first appeared, he had shoes. Number 2, original ending. Now this is something that wasn't even filmed, it was planned, but they dropped it quite early on, which is a shame because it would have just added a nice little cherry on top at the end of the film. Denormulus actually got killed in the original version of this film, instead of being arrested by Ted's dad. But what the plan was Denormulus was going to end up in hell with the evil Bill and Ted, and that was going to be his punishment, being annoyed for all eternity the 2 kids he tried to actually kill by their evil robot selves as well. That would have been hilarious, it would have been brilliant, and it would have fitted with the whole theme of the film. But I mean, the ending they got with where he was just arrested was fine, that was more kiddie friendly, but it could have been so much more funnier. Number 1, ruining the sequel. So the reason why I'm making this video is because Bill and Ted Face the Music is about to come out in cinemas. Well, it is in the UK, it's already released on video on demand over in the States. But this film actually gave a finite ending. It actually, after the film ended, you had like newspaper clips, newsreels of what happens to Bill and Ted, that they go on to be the biggest band in the whole wide world. They were one of the first bands to play on Mars. They were huge, they were everything, and unfortunately they split up. Now, Bill and Ted Face the Music, in the trailers if you go and watch it, I've not seen the film yet, I can't wait to watch it, but in the trailers, they're not very good in the music. But they were good, they played a brilliant song at the end of this film. And they hadn't split up. They weren't as big as what they made out to be at the end of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So the sequel either ruins that whole segment at the end of Bogus Journey, or I don't know, but no, it doesn't flow on. Well, it's not going to flow on, should I say. Final thoughts. So what can I say about this film? Well, they took everything that was good from the original film and carried it over. Unfortunately, the stuff that was bad from the first film, which wasn't much, also did carry over, but I haven't included them on today's list. One thing I did like about this film is the fact they didn't actually copy the premise from the first film. I mean, the original idea, the very original idea was it was going to be an English assignment, so they went back in time and spoke to all the historical English people. But that was too similar to the first film. I don't think it would have worked. But they went with a completely different idea, and it worked. I mean, as I said from the last video, the main thing about this film is Bill and Ted. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter is what makes this film. It's what makes me interested in watching Face the Music, because they're older, they're more mature. Keanu Reeves is now a megastar, and he's going back to being a doofus. I can't wait. And especially watching these two films back to back has really made me want to watch Face the Music. I've got to stop talking about that film because I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about Bogus Journey. One thing that did actually happen between the first film and the second film is the budget got increased from 6 million to 20 million, and they spent that 20 million well. The special effects on this film are phenomenal. Station is brilliant on this. The evil robots taking your head off are brilliant. Hell, they made the good Bill and Ted robots look appalling, but they were good appalling at the same time. It's just brilliant. As I said, there's some niggly little bits again with this, some poor editing, something that carried over from the last film. The princess's acting is appalling, but still, ultimately, what you've got is a fun film. This time we have got a bad guy, but he's not a domineering threat. And the more threat is evil Bill and Ted, which is brilliant. So what am I going to rank this? You know what? I'm going to rank it exactly the same as last week's video, 9 out of 10. But that's what I think. And yes, I love this film, so I'm probably being a bit over biased on this film. But still, it's my video, it's my channel, I can do what I want. What do you think? Write your reviews in the comments below and I will reply back to you. I love replying back to people on YouTube comments. What do you rank this out of 10? Am I being too nice? Let me know. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Also, please share with your friends as well. And I'll be back with you next week with a film that someone else has actually done some theories on and did a dig at me about. So I'm going to get some revenge. No one else will know what I'm talking about on this one, but find out next week, next Sunday. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.